All right, Liza. Well, it is time for that underpowered hour tradition, the holiday clip show. So this is where we take a look back at the year that just passed us, and we bring up some of our favorite episodes for those folks who are maybe new to the show. For you, welcome. How you found yourself here, I don't know, and I
We're sorry.
apologize. Yeah, I
We're
apologize in
sorry.
advance. Yeah, but
Happy New Year, Steve.
yeah, it was what a great holiday it was. There's no way we recorded this before the holiday so
No,
that we could take some time off.
no.
I'll say it was joyous. It was festive. It was merry. Yeah, it was all the things that you expect from a holiday. There were ups, there were downs, there were family gatherings, there were solo adventures. It was really great. Yeah, really.
Thank you for that very vague and general synopsis of our holiday break that we haven't taken yet.
Yeah, I had the Chat GPT just whip me up a quick holiday recap, and works great. If you haven't tried the Chat GPT AI, super fun to ask.
Well,
it
thanks for
to,
having me back for the recap show. So we did this last year, and really, frankly, I think the only reason you have me on is when Ike is unavailable. I am your third or
You're
maybe fourth choice.
an Ike analog. Actually,
Ike
funny enough,
analog.
Ike is my fourth choice, so you're like fifth or sixth. But
Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
that's all
Thank
right.
you.
It's when Linus isn't available, Ike does the show. So
That's true.
I think that's
Everybody prefers Linus, to be honest. His episodes perform very well.
And those who don't prefer Linus can't tell the difference between Ike and Linus. So, they maybe think they're getting Linus or Ike. I don't know. Anyways, without further ado, so the first clip I think is all the way back at close to the beginning of this year, when we were joined by our good friend of the show, contributor to the show, and Camel Trophy winner and legend, Mr. Bob Ives, our very good friend, came to visit us in beautiful and snowy Oregon to do a little driving of some vintage Land Rovers. Now, what we did while we were there is we did a little Instagram live. And as you guys all know, if you've listened to the show before, we're really, really, really bad at doing live things. Maybe you saw it on Instagram. Maybe you were one of those three people. Maybe you watched it later. But we thought, why not excerpt a little bit of that live show here so that everybody can listen to it, because, we want to encourage Bob to come back. They've recently recovered all of the seats in the Dormobile, so the springs don't stab you nearly as aggressively anymore. So
Anymore.
I
As
feel
aggressively.
like, yeah, as aggressive. They're still there, but it's a gentler caressing. And hopefully, knowing that, maybe Bob will come back and we can finally make it all the way up to the top of that trail. But let's play a little excerpt from that show.
Hook up with you guys well and drive some proper off-road vehicles.
Yeah, so good segue. So yesterday we took out a bunch of the series cars and had those out in the woods and that sort of a deal. Found some snow. What did you think of that?
Yeah, didn't expect to see snow, that's for sure. Beautiful down here, and turned up in my short trousers.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of a bit optimistic there.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, rain and sometimes snow here in Oregon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, shame to get defeated by the snow on the high ground, but never mind. I think it was a wise decision when it's starting to get dark, and
It would have taken many hours to pull through all that stuff with all those vehicles, but yeah, had a great time. Quite a bit of elevation change and differences. As you go up, it seems pretty dry, and then as you get up, it just gets wetter and wetter and wetter, and then snow, and then lots of snow.
yeah, I got over 2,500 feet, and it was just starting to get
Yeah.
And then when you start going downhill and you see snow, and you're thinking, like, looking at the time and thinking, like, this is a bad idea, because I've been in that situation a few times when you've gone too far and got bogged, and then it gets dark, and then you're out there all night. Push your luck.
yeah.
That trail goes up another 1,000 feet at least.
Okay,
too,
yeah.
So it just keeps climbing, and I'm
Next
sure
time.
it just would have got deeper and deeper. But yeah, absolutely. Next time we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Now, without Jenna looking at her phone, we have no way of knowing how well this is working, or if it's working at all. So guys, first of all, what did you think of the big snow run adventure yesterday?
It was great.
I think we touched on it earlier this morning. I commented that I think we probably couldn't have fit more Land Rovering into such a short period of time if we had tried. We ran out of gas. We had to fix somebody's car. We got stuck twice. We had to use a winch twice. It was raining. It was snowing. There was mud. There was dogs.
A
There
little
was
bit of
snacks. There was
mini
cheap
snack.
beer. Lots of cheap beer. Well, not some.
Yeah.
Some.
What's
cheap
your
beer.
favorite kind of beer, Linus?
Emergency drinking beer?
Well, you go a previously unpodcasted piece of audio from our good friends there, Bob and his son, of course, and of course,
Nolan Yap. It started a tradition of needing to have Nolan on every live show that we do. We did three lives this year. Nolan made an appearance in every one of them.
Oh, every one of them. Oh, yeah. No.
I'm a terrible producer. I can't remember any of these
It's a
things.
luck thing. It's if Nolan isn't there, it will probably go even worse. And I can't imagine it going worse than it goes normally. Just a safety thing to have Nolan there. So
he's like our
what was
good luck
one
charm.
of the what was one of the clips that one of the shows that you particularly? I know you're not fond of the show generally speaking, but which was the one that you were the least put off by this year?
Well, not your episodes. Nothing that you featured in particularly heavily. This is a true, honest opinion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have the producer title, I don't always hear the show before it comes out on Monday. I do some of the work behind the scenes, but I don't necessarily listen to every show before it airs. And our Halloween special, where Ike told the horror story of the serial killer in his hometown.
Harold Baumeister. Yeah.
Harold Baumeister, who did some pretty horrible things, and a Land Rover may or may not have been used along some of that.
I'm pretty sure.
That wrongdoing. Yep, for sure. But I was driving to work and to drop Cooper off at school the day that episode played, and I'd heard little bits and parts of it as you were editing it, but I hadn't heard the whole story. The fact that maybe we should just play the clip. And
I think the best thing to do is just to roll a little excerpt from that clip. So here is the spooky episode we aired over Halloween about serial killer and Ike's close personal friend, Mr. Howard Baumeister.
He was sure a twisted guy, and definitely the all-time craziest Land Rover owner story I have ever encountered. And that probably should have turned me off to Land Rovers altogether.
Yeah. In fact, though, you doubled or tripled down. So,
yeah. I also don't know. And people have asked me this when I've told them that story. I don't know what number that Defender is. So I'm sure floating out there is this corpse wagon Defender that's definitely got more than electrical gremlins. It's full on haunted.
Absolutely haunted. Yeah.
That thing has definitely been used to transport
there you go.
corpses.
Oh yeah, I was going to say. I mean, somebody may have been murdered in it, or several people may have been murdered in it.
Yeah, there's some celebrities that have NAS Defender 110s, and I'm just like, I'm secretly hoping that it's one of those.
Oprah's got the serial killer.
Oprah's got the serial killer 110 or something like that. But it's out there somewhere probably, and
just waiting silently to kill again.
It might be. It wasn't him the whole time.
It wasn't him the whole time.
Land Rover.
It was the NAS Defender. Yeah. I was gonna say the fire in the Range Rover. Do we know he said it, or that it was the Range Rover that just
I don't know if the Range Rover actually burned, honestly. I know he set fire to the tapes, but I don't know if he incinerated the Range Rover as well. So the Range Rover might also be out there somewhere, also haunted. Yeah.
Maybe in Canada. Yeah. Wow.
That's my spooky Land Rover serial killer story. And again, that's true. You can look up Herbert Baumeister. They did a Discovery Channel special on that guy.
Nice.
The Secret Life of a Serial Killer. Obviously, his family had no idea that this had happened.
And were the Land Rovers featured at all in the Discovery documentary, or did they switch
I never
them
watched
out?
it.
Oh, really?
I never watched it. I lived it, so I never watched it.
Yeah, you didn't have to live it. Are you featured in the documentary? Are you played by a young Joaquin Phoenix in the documentary? Well, there you go. Very, very spooky. I mean, it's certainly not the only serial killer that has been involved in Land Rovering, I'm sure, but certainly the only one that Ike has a personal connection to.
That we know of. But listening to that episode, I mean, it blew my mind a little bit. And I was listening with Cooper, and maybe I shouldn't have been listening to it with Cooper, but both her and I just kept going, what? It's nice to be surprised sometimes.
The perfect story to listen to with your 8-year-old. Now,
very appropriate.
We would obviously be remiss if we didn't mention probably the biggest event of 2022, and that is the Rebel Rally, and you and Jenna's participation in that event. We went rebel crazy, and
we
the
dedicated a few episodes to that one. We had a couple of shows. We talked about it after Jen and I came back from training. We talked about it and announcing our sponsors. We had an episode where Ike wasn't available because he was moving workshops. And I came on to give an update on how we were doing. And then I think we had our show from before the start line, and then our wrap-up show after the finish line. And then we even threw in a bonus one just a couple of weeks ago with my interview with Sarah. So I think we dedicated 6 episodes to it this year. So if you're sick of hearing about the Rebel Rally, I'm really sorry. You will get a short reprieve. We will probably start talking about it later in 2023 because Jenna and I are, in fact, going to do the Rebel again. So we'll try not to weigh you all down with Rebel talk until we get a little bit closer to the next event.
Yeah, we have to find the Defender again and figure out where it is and
East
get
Coast.
it running and all that. So, we'll get to all that. But let's play a little excerpt from the start line, which was kind of a live show, and then maybe a little excerpt from our finish line wrap up, just to give you a sort of holistic view of the event. So let's roll that.
How did you guys go? How'd the trip go? And how is the truck?
We're doing good. We're ready. I think we are really ready. I think we're itching to kind of get out there. Today was pre-check, which was super fun. All the cars were parked in this parking lot here, and we're sort of out in the corner at the moment on our own. But all the vehicles getting all their badging, their stickers, are the mechanics coming by and checking things out, getting new wiper blades from Scrub Blade. And we got our tracker attached to the truck, so you guys can track us in real time now.
Now the government.
Oh, you weren't given an Isuzu tracker.
No,
it is.
no.
I see. Okay.
No, there isn't a Isuzu here, but I don't.
Oh,
believe
yeah, it is a Geo tracker. Yeah, I think didn't Isuzu Geo isn't the same. It's the same car, and that's a different car.
Suzuki.
Oh yeah, okay. Suzuki.
So, what other team is the stiffest competition?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of rookies here that have their game faces on. That's for sure. We have made a lot of alliances. Do you want to know about some alliances?
Is this a reality television show, or is this a reality?
Yes. Well, this is so that we don't get voted off the island early.
Right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We have some friends here. These are, this is Kristen Shaw.
Hi.
And this is Jill Simonilla. She's as tiny as I am, hanging out back there.
Excellent.
These two are driving a Hyundai, and we have gotten to know them over the last few months. They were at a training that we did in April. And so, we're going to be checking each other's nav map in the mornings for sure.
Well, so there's the time management piece, but then there's also the vehicle management. So the end of stage 1 was where I think you guys started to assess and realize that it was time to start addressing some things on the route. So
we got to know the mechanics really well.
Yeah, well, you have a 30-year-old car. You're gonna do that. So stage 1, at the end of that day, I think is where you realize that it was probably time to address that driver's side front hub that we should have addressed before you left.
Well, we only even discovered it that day. We basically we had a little maintenance checklist every night.
Yep. The mechanics were very impressed. Jenna every night rolled into their area, checked all her fluids, did all her things,
and which included the jiggle.
Yeah.
We'd go around and grab each wheel and jiggle it and just make sure there wasn't like anything clonking or going on.
And after stage 1, there was a definite click in the front drive.
We were like, oh boy. Yeah. So then we addressed.
So we pull over one of the mechanics and we go, feel this.
Right.
What do you think? And they went, oh.
They went, there's definitely more play in there than you probably want.
Supposed to be a 30-seconds of an inch of play.
It was a discernible, not like a click necessarily, but you could feel it was a discernible shift. It was more than just the normal jiggling of the car
or the tire itself.
It was like a discernible, you could just
you could feel where we went. And they said, this isn't too big a job. You guys can do this, no problem, real quick.
I was like, I mean, I even had in my little maintenance report thing, of my notes from our walkthrough, these are the steps, you pull this off, you do the thing. And then we also had the full workshop manual with us.
Right.
Which ended up being the smartest thing we did.
It was great. But the workshop manual advises that you need like a dial gauge,
dial
all this
indicator,
crazy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You're like,
that's right.
don't have that. So we there was a lot of trial and error. The mechanic was, assisting us, but not to the extent that it was a mechanic service.
Right.
And so in terms of our points. But so we did a lot of like, there's two nuts and there's that washer. And so it was like, we'd tighten the inner nut, we'd put on the washer, we'd put on the outer nut, we'd tighten the outer nut. And then
by me, it was all Jen. And
all of that. It would tighten the inner nut. And then it would just be too tight. So we just kept backing them all off until finally we could get the outer nut tight enough. We'd leave the inner nut loose enough that when we got the outer nut tight enough, the inner nut was still loose enough for it to have a good rotation. And then smacking those tabs in, putting it all back together.
Now, what you don't know, Jenna, that Liza does know, is that you did have a hub rebuild kit. I'm not sure where it was, but in there is a laser cut wrench that grips the back nut and allows you to tighten the front nut perfectly without having to. But I neglected to add that to the list.
Right. So it's one thing to be equipped, but if we don't know that it's on board, this is what we discovered, then we can't help ourselves because we don't know what we don't.
Yeah, I apologize. That's on me. That's on me.
Well, no question. What an incredible event, life-changing journey, and can't wait for next year. I mean, who thought that one could be as excited about tiny dots moving around a computer screen as we all were for a week, and looking very forward to doing that again as a community of underpowered listeners and also the people at work. So.
And,
really fun.
For as much as we talked about it on the show this year, the feedback that we got from people, I just have to take a moment to be serious here and say, thank you to all of our listeners who sent us messages, who followed, my personal account on Instagram, who cheered us on, who checked in with Steve or Ike while we were out there wondering, what's going on today? What are the girls doing? Why have they been stopped for so long? There was such great interaction with our community, and we hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. And looking forward to more of that in the future, and would love to know, how would you guys want us to cover the event differently in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and for our last clip here, we buy a lot of Land Rovers here at the Bears Collection, as it is a thing that that we do. We acquired some absolutely fantastic cars this year. Our 6-cylinder Nada station wagon 1967.
I would chalk
Nada.
that up in the fantastic column.
Yeah,
that is
Ted
a great
is an
vehicle.
incredible car. Well, we also bought some less than fantastic cars, but I think probably Liza's favorite car to date, even though technically it has not been with us since the day we bought it, and that is the undisputed king of Land Rovers, our 2003 orange G4 Challenge Edition Freelander. That is somewhere today having a transmission rebuilt right now.
The most expensive practical joke for a podcast that very few people ever listen to.
Yeah, it's true. No, I mean, if we had just sent each one of you some cash instead of pouring all of this money into the Freelander, it probably would have been a much better investment in growing the audience. But where's the fun in that? I think that 2023 is the year that Freelander is going to see, honest to God, real pavement and maybe some dirt.
I will tell you this. If it doesn't work after this transmission gets rebuilt, I'm pretty committed to doing some pretty serious modification to turn it into a real legitimate rally car, with or without this powertrain. I don't really care. We'll find a way. Maybe we need an electric conversion. I don't know.
I think there's some exciting projects coming next year, and having the Freelander running by whatever means necessary may be one of those things. If but let's go back, shall we, to that bleary-eyed day where we acquired the undisputed king of Land Rovers, and just was an optimistic time, let's say. So let's roll that clip on there.
Well, speaking of deferred maintenance, I want to hear about your new purchase. Tell us a little bit about that.
So for a little while now, as you know, Ike, we've been talking about acquiring a Underpowered Hour company car, something to go to official events in, to award ceremonies, for the podcasting community, of which we're invited to never. Also,
this would continue our long and glorious tradition of unreliable attendance.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure we never make it to those things. And so I was contacted by my very good friend, Ed Testa, who runs IE Rovers down in Lake Elsinore, California, between here and San Diego, between Los Angeles and San Diego, is the president of the SoCal Rover Club that I am also board member at, and a very old friend, great friend, and amazing Land Rover super ninja of the Discovery and Forward. I mean, he works on anything, but he does a ton of work for all the clubs, Discovery 1s and 2s and 3s, and does all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great. He used to work for Land Rover. And anyways, he knows that my fondness of stupid Land Rovers. And so at about, I don't know, I think it was Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It was Friday afternoon because Chris and I were going, who doesn't listen to the show, we're going to see a screening of Doctor Strange. And Ed sends me a text and says, dude, this is for sale in San Diego. And the picture that I received is nothing less than a Tangiers Orange G4 edition 2003 Land Rover Freelander.
Oh, boy.
Undisputed king of Land Rovers. And it was, I won't say how much it was, but let's just say that I have probably recently paid more for a reasonably fitting pair of pants than I paid for this car. And it was, nothing is guaranteed when you pay basically nothing for a car. And I spoke with a guy on the phone, and he said, yeah, no, everything's great. It's a perfect car. Of course it is. You're going to love it. It's no problem. I couldn't go Saturday morning, which is he needed to sell the car before he left for Mexico for an undisclosed amount of time. So just an idea.
Yeah, it's perfect, but as long as there are zero follow-up questions, it's perfect.
As I'm going to Mexico, man, I don't know when I'm coming back. Okay, no problem. So my good friend, another Land Rover SoCal member, Jerry Sampolipo, who is the trail master for the SoCal Rover Club down here, he said, okay, I'll go get it for you. So I sent Jerry some money, sent him the contract and everything. Jerry goes over there, gets this deal done with the guy. He said, I drove it around the block once. I mean, it seems sort of okay. And so Liza and Cooper and I jump in the car and we drive down to San Diego, which takes forever because it's a Saturday before Mother's Day and everything else. It's terrible. And we get to the G4 edition Freelander, and sure enough, I mean, the paint's actually in good shape. The clear coat has been just destroyed by the sun. It's been melted to the point of being non-existent over 80% of the car. Otherwise, it's pretty good. The interior's clean. Everything sort of seems to work. It does start. Almost all the locks work. Almost all the windows work. Stuff that normally doesn't work is actually working pretty good. So we figure, okay, let's give it a go. It is literally out of gas. There is 1 mile left in the gas. So
he took the gas.
Out of it. So it was just funny because I have a picture of the odometer that he took for me that had like 3/4 of a tank of gas. So somehow on Friday,
took all the light bulbs out of the dash.
Yeah, everything was missing. Now you can really hear the optimism in our voices back then. What did we know? It seemed like it was running fine until it wasn't, and we just didn't know that basically not one part of it was any good for anything. But
no, you're wrong. We knew that there was very little chance that any of it was going to work. And yet
the heart wants what the heart wants, Liza. That's it's just how it is, you put an orange Freelander in front of me, and it was, to be fair, a very good deal to purchase. And
I think
that's where the good deal stopped, though.
I think you were legitimately concerned about 3/4 of the way through that drive. I think you were legitimately concerned that we wouldn't have a funny enough story to tell on the podcast when we recorded a few days later. I think when it broke down going up that hill, coming into Lake Elsinore, I think you actually secretly celebrated a tiny little bit inside and just thought, well, this is going to make great content for the podcast.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually talking to Jenna when it went into like limp home mode, which of course the series rover doesn't have a limp home mode. It just its distributor just explodes and you stop. But yeah, it was interesting to drive a car that was just kind of shittier than normal because it was sort of not feeling well. So that's an interesting function. I had never experienced that before. So that was informative. And hey, like I've said, this 2023 will be the year of the running undisputed king of Land Rovers. And it's going to be great. We're going to bring it to some shows. What better way to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Land Rover than with a running Freelander for the few days in between maintenance cycles that it is running. We do it for you. So, hey, if ever there's been a reason to support us on Patreon, every Patreon dollar goes directly to trying to get a 2003 Freelander to run consistently. So
much to Ike's chagrin.
Well, he hates it, which makes it even better, right? And of course, we've got some super fun projects coming up next year. Not just the Freelander. We have, like I said, a bunch of shows that we're going to be on a few different continents that we're going to visit over the course of the 75th anniversary of the mighty Land Rover. And some of those may include the Freelander. Most of them won't. We have some fun builds coming up. We have, some fun restoration stuff. We may just build an off-road Miata for Abigail. It's possible. Who knows what the new year will bring in store. We've got a rally car to get prepped for the Rebelle later on in the year. Possible some other rally activities. It's going to be a pretty fun thing. We're going to try to do some live episodes again because we're just so good at them. We'll see what Nolan Yap's schedule is like.
We're getting better.
We're getting
better at the live episodes.
Yeah, we're getting better. But it was a great year. This year, of course, we were live from Destination Defender, which was very cool. Live from Pangolin 4x4. Ike and I had an opportunity to head over to the UK and see some really cool stuff over there. Hang out with the gang there.
No,
and so,
that was.
that was last year.
That was 2020.
Was that 2021?
You didn't go to the UK this year. You
really?
went to Australia, but you didn't
that's
go.
right. Yeah,
you guys
that's right.
didn't go this year.
It's
That
very
was
exciting.
last year.
It was very exciting. Oh yeah, you're right. But it was right at the end of last year. Right at the end.
No,
of last
it was
year.
September of last year.
It was
It's
September
okay.
of last year. That's kind of the end of last year. At any rate, and of course, we can't forget that at the end of January, the end of this month, future month, we will have the 100th episode of the Underpowered Hour. A feat that one, basically, including myself, said would never happen. 100 weeks of consistent Land Rover podcasting doesn't even make any sense. That is just pure insanity. And we're working on...
Congratulations.
Is it, though? We'll see. That's I don't know if it's something to be proud of, but we did it, and so there you go. And we're going to have some special guests.
There's at least 6 listeners who are pleased that you made it to 100 episodes. At least 6.
At least one of them isn't one of our moms.
But
most of them are. Most of them are. But there are a couple. They're somebody's moms. They're just not our moms, possibly. but maybe they're moms of some of our fabulous guests. And I don't know, Eliza, if you know the roster of guests that we had this year. Absolutely spectacular.
So I had to write it all out because as I was going through trying to pick clips for this year, I was having a really hard time deciding because we had such a great roster of guests on the show this year. And so I'm gonna list them off and maybe force you to choose your favorite. No, that's not
I'm
fair.
gonna choose. No, it's Jeff Aronson 100 times. I think that's everybody's favorite. I mean, come on. every other guest would also pick Jeff Aronson. I think it's just a great
just
guy
for
in
the
world.
Boston accent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we started the year strong with Michael Bishop talking about Arthur Goddard's 100th
absolutely.
birthday.
You're right. Michael Bishop's my favorite. He was definitely my favorite.
Then we had Julian Schulhofer talking about
take it back. Julian,
the restoration
100%.
of JUE and that car. What
that is
an
incredible. And we,
story.
of course, we went to visit Julian. I guess not this year. And it was fantastic. Ike was nearly killed by a pheasant. We got to see Julian's trials car. What a cool, great little workshop and absolutely stellar work. He's now done with his Roadster, his Ford Roadster that he was building while we were there.
Oh, really?
We just basically saw the chassis, and just in the last just the last month or so, it's actually rolled out of the shop and is tearing around the countryside.
Super cool.
I'm sure is very cool.
We had our first dip into the Rebel world. We talked to Thayer Lowe, who
our
is
good friend
a
Thayer.
past competitor.
Absolutely.
We talked to Joe from Lost Cause Ranch. Love that guy. If you're not following him on YouTube, you are missing out. He's building a pole barn.
It is amazing.
It's fantastic. It's great content. Go follow Joe.
I think as we
YouTube.
speak, it's now fully enclosed. There's concrete on the ground. There's a door. There's walls. So he's safe from the Iowa winter. And I was in South Dakota not that long ago, and I was compelled to go into a Menards because of Joe's. He constantly mentions Menards, and I'm like, oh, there's a Menards. I got to go check it out.
So such a great Midwest thing.
Oh, it is.
If you don't know what a Menards is, go.
You're missing out.
Get a flight, go to the Midwest, go visit a Menards. It's dumb and it's fun.
Oh yeah. It was.
Let's see. Following that, we had that really great one with Jeremy Hart, Toby, and Anthony talking about their Ukrainian trip.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The Voyage of Discovery with the I think it was the launch of the Disco 4, maybe Disco 3. They trekked across Ukraine and ultimately ended up at Moscow. And what a cool trip.
That was such a cool story. And then we followed that up with a visit from Conrad from Island Rovers.
Oh man, I love Conrad so much.
He is Instagram royalty in my mind. He's got the best Instagram Land Rover focused content out there. He's so great.
Yeah.
So great.
His Her Majesty, his Land Rover. And his Series 1 Lander is fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
He does some really great video work and is just generally
work.
just a super fun guy.
Yeah,
really
his
enjoyed it.
videos often involve dogs riding in Land Rovers.
Yep.
You can't go wrong. Then we had, of course, our friend Bob Ives, who we've already heard from. We had Jeff Aronson, who we've already mentioned. We had Scott Preston, who drove across the country with his dad in that Range Rover. Super fun.
He is the dad. He drove with his son.
Oh, I'm sorry. With his son. Sorry.
It's a special psychosis to choose to do that. And God bless him for it. And what a fun story that was.
And then, of course, we had Jeff Lewis of Seriously Series.
Our good buddy Jeff Lewis.
Down Under.
Again, Seriously Series, what another fantastic YouTube channel. Yeah. Jeff and the team over there are doing video content all the time. Restoration stuff, Outback stuff, which tires are better, how to plug this, the best jab combination when fighting a kangaroo. He's got it all. And it's really top quality stuff. His film is now out, and you can watch it online. I believe you can get it through iTunes, but certainly if you do go over to his website, you can get some links to it. Fantastic little documentary. Really cool stuff. Really, 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 really love Jeff. He's great.
Yeah. And then, of course, our good friend Vlado over in Slovakia.
Yeah, Land Roverista. He's now the caretaker of my European 110 station wagon. So
European 110. That's going to be mine.
Wagon. So he's taking care of that for us, and just sent me a video of all the little places where it's not quite perfect, which makes it perfect in my mind. So he's taking care of that for us. So we'll definitely have some content in the new year with Vlado as we go over there and drive that car around, and likely get arrested in Slovakia for something. So it's gonna be a good time. It's going to be a great time.
And then we had Ed Testa and Eddie from the SoCal Rover Club. We had Greg and Don from the NorCal Rover Club.
Covered all the California Rover Clubs. I think next year we're going to endeavor to get more Rover Clubs on to talk about more of their events and UK Rover Clubs, possibly European Rover Clubs as well. We're open to if you have an event this coming
you
year.
have a Rover Club. Talk
reach
to
out.
us.
Reach out. We're happy to have you on the show.
Speaking of Rover Clubs, Jeffrey Ahuden, our good friend at Land Rover, who is, I believe, the guy
Mr.
at
Club.
Land Rover that is supposed to interface with all the clubs.
And
so
he does. Of
great
course, the big
conversation
one
with
of
him.
the key organizers and Destination Defender. Big part of the reason that we were there, and what a great event that was. Super fun.
It was.
Jeff Aronson was there. A bunch of our other the Brooklyn Coachworks folks were there. Bunch of our friends from all over the Land Rovering universe. So hopefully they will do something like that again, because we had a great time.
And then, of course, we finished the year strong with Dan and Ivan from Rover Talk. And I thought that was another really interesting conversation where all of you got to really flex your deep, deep Land Rover knowledge about various cars. And that was a great conversation, and we love those guys. If you're not listening to Rover Talk, go give them a listen, go give them a follow, and maybe they'll have you on their show.
One of these days. I don't know that they're set up for guests, but happy to oblige. We're again still waiting for our appearance on the Center Steer podcast. That's as soon as John makes some time in the schedule, we're happy to head over there as well in my endeavor to unify the Land Rover podcasting universe in
That's right.
some kind of mega crossover endgame style summer blockbuster. So that's we'll see how that goes. But what a fantastic year. It'll be, I imagine, an even better 2023 with the 75th anniversary of Land Rover, with all kinds of exciting new adventures. There'll be a new Trek. There'll be a number of different Land Rover events, both here in North America as well as in the UK and in Australia and all over the place, all over Europe, all over everywhere.
And I know it's really hard at this stage to preview some of the things coming in 2023, because Lord knows anything can happen. But what's the thing you are most looking forward to next year that is semi-podcast related?
Yeah. That's a great question. I, of course, am looking forward to doing a podcast from the Freelander. I think that's setting that up as a mobile podcast studio that can't go anywhere because it never runs. I think is a great idea. We're working on some super cool new merchandise with some really great artists, some really cool creative stuff. We may be doing a special quarterly purchasable item through the store. More to come on that in the new year. All of your curated 90 weight packed underwear fresh at your door every month from your friends at the Underpowered Hour. But we're working on some really neat stuff there. We've got some legendary interviews that are coming up, folks that we've been trying to get on the show for a while. Who have
it's going to be really hard to top that list. Did you hear?
I know, it's incredible.
I just brought up.
We're just going to have all those people on again. I think there's that would be fine with me. I mean, there's decades, if you were Jeff Aronson, of stuff to talk about with those folks, and looking very forward to having them on. And certainly, I mean, I think next up we got to get Joe on to have an update of that shop. I mean, it is incredible. Maybe Ike and I will head out and help him. We were going to help him do the concrete, but we missed it by like 2 weeks, and we don't know anything about concrete, so it would have been probably detrimental.
Perfect.
To the but that's all right. And we've got some exciting trips, some exciting cars, some really fun projects, and we'll do it all again next year. And thank you, Liza,
until somebody sends us a cease and desist.
It's coming. JLR is way too aware of the show now for us not to get now with the new CEO coming in. I mean, I have my pick, and I sent that into Land Rover. I'm
sure they weigh your opinion very highly.
I believe it immediately was shredded, but I've given them my opinion, and we'll see what happens. But at any rate, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be some neat stuff. There's some brand new Land Rover models coming out next year that'll be fun to look at. Some neat competition stuff going on, more trophy stuff, more all kinds of stuff. So it'll be a hell of a year. So this has been a great year as well. I had a wonderful time. Thanks for all of your help this year, Liz. Thanks to Ike and to Linus and to Jenna for all of the help up north and putting together this fantastic show that all of our moms enjoy every Monday morning.
Well, thanks for having me and letting me take some credit for you and Ike just kind of being you and talking about the things you guys like.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, it's nice that we can spread that burden to the rest of the world. So, all right. Well, at that, it has been a slice. And unfortunately, because Ike isn't here, he of course, can't give his review of Nando's. But we are going to try to work in that peri peri sauce review this year at some point. So with that,
I look forward to it.
It's been a great year and looking forward to another one. So we'll see you next week.
See you on the trails.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Barris, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Barris. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.